Hello. I should remind you that all videos on this channel are connected together with the same logic and the same main idea. What if all matter in our universe are machines? What if we, humans, were constructed by those machines? How such assumption could explain the world and humans? Please note that I clearly state that it's an assumption. Therefore everything described below is an assumption too. An assumption with some evidence. So I was thinking, if humans are machines that follow specific algorithm, how can they be smart, critical, creative? Did you ever see a machine with critical thinking? What would that even mean for machine? The only answer I could find for myself is, machine that follows fixed algorithm can't be creative or have critical thinking. You cannot make a discovery just by memorizing all the existing textbooks or by launching all possible experiments. You need more than knowledge to create. Machine needs an ability to not follow its own instructions. Ability to rebuild its knowledge some unpredictable way. Imagine that you have a machine that does not work the way you expect. What would you say? You would say that this machine is broken or crazy. If human behaves unpredictably, we say the same, this human is crazy. What I'm going to claim today is that humans are a kind of machines that can break themselves. And almost all discoveries that humanity have made are results of humans breaking themselves unconsciously, breaking their own rules and instructions. Almost all of humans' discoveries are a result of a slight schizophrenia that every human has. How exactly would it work? Let's imagine that this is the neural network of some human. It somehow represents humans' knowledge about the world. This knowledge can change. New connection can appear as a result of spontaneous activity. Just out of nothing, for no any rational reason. What is spontaneous activity in the nervous system? It's a real process that happens in humans' brain. Spontaneous activity in the nervous system is defined as neural activity that is not driven by an external stimulus and is considered a problem for sensory processing and computation. For someone outside it might look as a bug, as a problem for sensory processing and computation. For the person it might feel as an idea, intuition, eureka moment. It's our internal randomizer, which gives us a rational behavior. It can lead not only to problems, but also become a reason for progress. For example, imagine that some part of Albert Einstein's neural network describes the knowledge about the principle of relativity and another part of neural network describes the knowledge about Maxwell's equations. At some moment spontaneous neural activity happens and those neural networks in Albert Einstein's head join into knowledge about special relativity. Of course it's very simplistic approach, of course I'm not an expert in neurology. It's just a blind guess, just a general idea. What I do claim is that new knowledge that we feel as intuition or idea is a random combination of our existing knowledge. The main word here is random. Not clever but random. It means that to get a good idea you need knowledge and luck. Not intelligence, not high IQ, but luck. Luck to get a good idea and ability or courage to develop it enough. Let's rephrase it like this. First idea appears and after that neuron connection is built just as they are built when we study in school, when we learn some information. People seem to believe that progress is some kind of forward movement, where you build new knowledge only on top of all previous knowledge as if you are building a skyscraper or a pyramid. I claim that we are walking through a maze instead, where dead ends exist. And we might have to go several steps back, make a turn and try another way. Why would you make that turn? Because of spontaneous activity in your head, which randomizes your knowledge. Imagine that such activity is too frequent. In that case you would not be able to accomplish any tasks and would just keep on turning. It would be a real problem. In such case person might be diagnosed with schizophrenia. Special treatment might be needed. But if that happens not too often, it's manageable. And I claim that all humans have that. For some of us spontaneous activity happens more often, for some of us spontaneous activity happens less often. After you get an idea, you have two options. Option 1. Skip the idea and keep on doing whatever you were doing. Option 2. Try to use the idea somehow. You would need to like the idea for that probably. Imagine that some monkey gets a random idea to beat other monkeys with a stick. Other monkeys might not accept violence as a norm and think that the first monkey has gone crazy, but they will have to start using sticks at least to protect themselves, or they will always be beaten and become uncompetitive. Why would a monkey use a stick? I see only one reason. Because monkey likes that. Somehow monkey's organism generates such a wish. But that wish appears to be useful not only to beat other monkeys, but also to fight with predators, for example. And that way monkeys get a tool. Not because they are clever, but because some of them got a wish to use the stick. That's how random and irrational idea can turn into knowledge. Violence is not the only possible reason for progress. The first monkey could have somehow explained other monkeys that it is a good idea to use sticks against predators. But other monkeys do not necessarily have to listen to those explanations. Peaceful explanations might take years. So I claim that the first monkey takes a stick and starts beating other monkeys not because of critical thinking, not because monkey is clever, not because of rationalism, skepticism, but because random neural connection appears in monkey's head. And monkey starts to behave as if it's the correct behavior to beat other monkeys, making them uncompetitive. One does not have to be beaten to become uncompetitive. Better technology can peacefully make your job irrelevant without any beating, but it still feels like violence against you. For example, Luddites in England protested against manufacturers who used machines in 19th century. The movement was suppressed with legal and military force. So when I say that someone is beaten with a stick, I don't necessarily mean direct violence. It's a metaphor. Now let's list the evidence. 1. Rational irrationality. I had a video about rational irrationality earlier. That video shows how an uncaused decision of a being to turn left sometimes instead of following the rational right-hand rule gives advantage to a group of beings with such behavior. It is shown that if you make such uncaused decision too often, you cannot get anywhere. But if the amount of random events is limited, you can get to some new places and succeed as a group because of that. Limited irrationality, limited craziness of beings in a group turns into an advantage for the group. Advantage over both fully rational and fully irrational beings. Link to that video is in the upper right corner now. So I claim that we and our progress work just the same way as those beings in the maze. But instead of changing the direction of movement, we change the set of neural connections of our brain. Randomize our brain. And the fact that partially irrational beings get an advantage can be considered as evidence, I would say. 2. Scientific method. Scientific method tells us that any hypothesis should be tested in experiment. If idea was not random, there would be no need to test it. 3. Unpredictability of science. Science is often unpredictable and you cannot tell how much time might be needed to solve some specific problem. It might take years or it might take days. Why? Because ideas are random in nature and you cannot predict when and what will happen. 4. Shower effect. The idea on how to solve some hard problem often appears when you actually don't think about the problem. When you do something else, for example when you are taking a shower, walking a dog, riding a bicycle. If ideas were not random in nature, why would they appear when you are doing something else? Especially when those ideas can appear to be wrong, need to be checked in experiment. 5. Absent-minded professor. It's widely believed stereotype that great scientists often look absent-minded. What I claim is that if a person gets random ideas too often, that person can't focus on a specific task and therefore looks absent-minded. It's just that the probability to get a good idea is higher when you get different ideas more often. Therefore humans who have higher level of spontaneous activity have higher chances to actually find something and become famous professor. But you can't just stop that stream of ideas. And they keep on getting those ideas, which distract them from their current tasks. For the same reason some of successful persons were bad students. When you have something constantly happening in your head, You just can't and not necessarily want to focus on whatever you are expected to do. But some of those ideas can turn you into a successful scientist or businessman. Please note that not all the ideas are necessarily good. They are random combinations of existing knowledge. Some of them are bad and might lead to personal failure as well. Imagine that you are throwing a coin and each time you get heads, you succeed and become more successful. Each time you get tails you fail and become less successful. Now imagine that there are billions of people like you and all of them toss their coins periodically. The expected average result will always be 0, but the more often you toss a coin the more often you change your current state, and it appears that those who have tossed a coin more often can find themselves more successful than others, or appear to be a total failure. If you never toss a coin, you just stay a normal person. Neither successful nor loser. An average person, as they say. 6. Genius and madness. Some creators, artists, scientists were officially diagnosed with schizophrenia. For example, Friedrich Nietzsche, Vincent van Gogh, John Nash. John Nash was a great mathematician, who got Nobel Prize in economics. He proved something that I would call the existence of rational behavior. He proved the existence of a strategy for non-cooperative game that lets you never lose, whatever your opponent is doing. It is called Nash equilibrium. But he also believed that aliens were sending him messages and recruited him to save the world. So even though he proved that one can behave rationally, he couldn't do that himself. Why? Because rational behavior is not the best behavior. Nash equilibrium does not let you lose, but it does not let you win either. It only tells you how to be an average person. How to remove any risks. Intelligence, knowledge make no sense when your opponent follows Nash equilibrium. Evolution is impossible in this case because you can't have beneficial mutation when there is no way to win. If evolution exists, it means nobody follows Nash equilibrium. That's why humans, who were built by evolution, just cannot be rational. Humans and life in general are irrational. If you check the theory of evolution, you will find out that we are a result of sequence of DNA copy errors. So we are one huge error. Therefore error is not necessarily something wrong. At least if you don't think that humans' existence is wrong. Here is how John Nash explained why he believed in aliens. Quote, "The ideas I had about supernatural beings came to me the same way that my mathematical ideas did. So I took them seriously." End of quote. So what I claim is that you don't actually choose your ideas. They are random. You might be able only to choose whether to take those ideas seriously. I can only hope that at least this choice is available to us. 7. Risky men. Please note that I'm speaking only about men and women here, as I'm definitely not an expert on any other genders. I'm not an expert on men and women either, but I have a model to propose. Also please note that I do not justify any kind of violence, especially against women. When I say that men and women are different, I do not mean that men are better, I only try to explain the difference. It's just a model. Also I don't say what men or women should or should not do. Your life is your life and my life is my life. Also I don't speak about men and women relationships, marriage, divorces, responsibilities, women rights, men rights. No. Not everything in this world is about relationships. So I claim that men are crazier than women on average. You can check that in any statistics. Men are slightly more often diagnosed with schizophrenia, and the course of the disease tends to be worse in men. Men are riskier, men gamble more often. Because something irrational happens in their heads. Please note that it does not mean that every man is riskier than every woman. But if you select 10,000 men and 10,000 women, men will definitely be riskier on average. Why? I think we can blame evolution. Women could not be as risky as men because they needed to raise children. If women were risky, there would be no children and no humanity. Risks are needed because only by doing risky, unpredictable things you can create something new. Humanity needed to evolve, therefore somebody had to take the risks. Not necessary consciously. Men toss a coin more often, therefore they succeed and fail more often. You cannot really succeed by following the rules. If it was true that you can succeed by following the rules, everybody would succeed and this word would have no any significant meaning. If you follow the rules, you can only expect to be an average person. Success is not about doing what you are expected to do. It's about building better rules. Men accept risks much easier, they feel themselves less insecure and abused in a risky situation. Men strive for a chance, not for security. Women need security, self-respect more than men. Women often get offended and stop when men just continue doing whatever they were doing. The real sense of the phrase man up in this case is to forget about whatever happens now, accept it and live as if you can change the situation for better. Live for a chance. Toss a coin, that's why when men hear no, they often try again. As if they are right whatever others say. Modern progressive society, as they call themselves, seem to call it toxic behavior. Modern progressive society seem to think that they can define the truth. They just need to agree on what it is. Everybody is expected to follow the rules, be predictable, normal, equal. But that's the whole sense of evolution and progress, not to be equal, not to be the same as everybody, but to be different. To build a better world through competition. For some reason modern progressive society sees only one possible outcome of risk, that someone might get hurt. But in reality there are two possible outcomes. Someone might get hurt or someone might succeed. And make a discovery or launch a startup. And let's face it, security does not really exist. Humans are mortal anyway. And our time is ticking. Men just keep on tossing a coin as there is always a chance that you will succeed next time. Women seem to prefer not tossing a coin at all as you can fail and lose comfort. Again, I'm speaking about average behavior, not about every man and every woman. To win the lottery you need at least to buy a ticket. Those who buy thousands of tickets have higher chances to win the lottery or to lose money. The only equality of opportunity that we can have is the equality of opportunity to be an average person, neither winner nor loser. To get more you need to risk. Do crazy things, as someone would say. Men are built to struggle for better future as they see it. Without asking anybody's permission to do that. Ruthless but not necessary monster. Did Newton ask for permissions when he created calculus? Did Darwin ask for permissions when he created the theory of evolution? No, they just did whatever they felt was right. They took their ideas seriously. Just as John Nash did. You cannot ask everybody's permission to change the world. You will never get the permission. As there will always be those who feel it as violence. You just do it. Because you can. Because nature created you that way. Some of those risky and toxic persons become CEOs, some of them become great scientists, some of them go bankrupt or go to jail, depending on which rules they break and how successful they are. There are more men not only among successful people. There are more homeless men too. 8. Crackpots. Even in 21st century some people believe that the earth is flat. Are you sure that it's their choice to believe that? What if nature makes them? Do they really choose to believe or do they need to believe because their neural network makes them? Please note that I don't necessarily speak about flat earthers. I speak about every person that believe in some strange things. It seems like the only minority that you can laugh at these days are those who thinks differently. I should remind you that both LGBT community and those who thinks differently were oppressed in the Dark Ages. Gays, lesbians and heretics were burned or imprisoned. Giordano Bruno, Galileo Galilei were among those. Today members of LGBT community are protected in Western countries, but you still can hate and laugh at those who thinks differently. I often hear that we, the humanity, made some discovery. No. We, the majority, were watching how those who thinks differently were executed. The same way now we watch videos that describe how wrong flat earth believers are. We did not like them, therefore considered them evil. We still think the same way. We call them crackpots, create crackpot indexes, call their behavior dumb, irrational and dangerous. Now imagine that being irrational is actually the only possible reason for creation, you just can't create any other way. A rational event is the only possible source of new behavior, new logical sequence, new science, new possibilities. We laugh at those who were chosen by chance to sacrifice their time and maybe lives to defend specific strange ideas, which might appear to be useful and turn into discovery someday. And at the same time we claim that we, the humanity, have made those discoveries by being skeptical. And probably now we are making new discoveries by being skeptical about new ideas too. I know why we can laugh at them. Because they don't get offended. They live for a chance to change the world for better. And some of them appear to be lucky enough to achieve that. We would not laugh at them if they were as aggressive as other minorities, but they are not. That's why they seem to be the only minority that can be bullied. You can use hate speech against them, you can study why it's bad to be a part of that minority. They are not protected by any organizations financed by government, celebrities don't protect their right to think differently. Nobody is ever cancelled for being crackpot phobic. The attitude is exactly the opposite to the way other minorities are treated. Just think about it. Those who can actually appear to be useful for humanity are hated the most. Isn't that ironic? 9. Evolution. The only real reason why biological evolution exists is actually an algorithm change, DNA change. It seems like nature just does not have any other mechanisms of creation. If we were created by evolution, then the only thing evolution could give us is an optimized mechanism of algorithm change. Biologists say it is important to protect the diversity of life, the diversity of DNA. They say we should save species, save natural habitats. At the same time scientists are doing their best to fight with the diversity of ideas. Follow the science, they say. Everything should be peer-reviewed by us. You need to have a PhD in the field to say anything. Modern society protects the diversity of political opinions, self-expression, religious beliefs, gender identities, ethnic representation, but not the main thing. Not the diversity of ideas. Just imagine for a second that Big Bang, relativity, quantum mechanics, do not actually describe the reality. How would you know that, if you are not allowed to think differently? How alternative theories will ever appear if all of them are automatically wrong because it's not what official science says? You see, alternative theories do not just fall off trees. They need to be developed, efforts are needed. Instead, physicists are just rebuilding the Big Bang theory as soon as the previous version is disproved by observations. Again and again. How much more time should pass for humans to understand that modern physics is a dead end? That if you can't move anywhere for 50 years, maybe it's time to go back and try another way? Try another idea? Just to sum up. I claim that humans are machines. Humans' neural network is the algorithm of that machine. Neural network is built during education, but can be rebuilt due to spontaneous neural activity. Humans always behave according to the contents of their neural networks. Progress happens because of competition. There is no any critical thinking. There are only machines that execute their personal changeable algorithms. Other machines can copy that algorithm if they like it. Or they can copy it because they are being beaten with a stick and need to be competitive. Or because they hope to get a stick in future. That's my claim. A claim of a monkey that have got an idea and tries to convince others without any sticks or beating. Very hard and unthankful process, I should admit. Does the stick even exist, someone would ask. Well, E=mc² is still true and humanity have used only small part of that power. Who knows what is really possible? How do I know that I should take my ideas seriously? I launch algorithms to check them. If algorithm does not work, it means another idea is needed. Unfortunately, not everything is done yet. And unfortunately, as I've told before, it's very time-consuming and annoying process, when you just need to keep on trying. Idea has to evolve. Time has to be spent. You can help me if you wish so, you can buy me a bit of time. I can't promise you a stick yet, but seems like this model does have something to do with the way our universe works. Otherwise, why would it explain so many phenomena? You will be proud of yourself and will be able to say that you have contributed to the progress of humanity. Contributed to the theory of everything. And maybe later there will also be a stick. And again, when I say stick, I don't mean beating. It's a metaphor. I mean progress, which makes everybody adopt new technologies if they wish to be competitive. Safe world without risks that some people are trying to build these days is actually Nash equilibrium, where nobody ever regrets about their choices. As there is no way to win anyway. It would be a world without suffering, they think. But it would be a world without happiness. And without progress. And full of depression. I was born in a country which tried to implement such approach. It was called Soviet Union. I wish to believe you don't really want that. I believe what we really need is a chance. So, do you take yourself seriously? Are you the unpredictable, toxic main character or a safe, predictable person that follows society? This question is not that easy and has many variations. Probably the most popular is this: to be, or not to be. Thank you for your attention.